You guys were talking like you're
It's-
burning pod. If you guys were talking about a ECU.
It's not called sea curvature. It's sea level. It's flat. Duh.
I put a level on the ground. Bubble was in the middle.
It's flat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying, level on the ground. Duh. You know, if a plane takes off, why doesn't it just keep going into space if the Earth isn't flat?
Ooh.
Can we kick this pig?
Yeah.
Oh, that
Welcome
sounds
to
terrible.
Everyone Racers, a show designed for the flat world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemma Champ or Lucky Track Dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of low-dollar endurance racing, and whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mental, and we are Everyone Racers. Thanks so much for coming back and listening to another Footloose episode of our podcast, because it's episode 84. Yes.
Oh, you didn't like my lumbering?
No.
Fine.
What was the? And honestly, maybe I didn't get it. What's the lumbering?
Lumber 84 is when you Google 84, you get Lumber 84, because that was the only interesting thing that was on 84. When you Google it,
the Kenny Loggins Footloose soundtrack was the number one on the Billboard charts until April of 1984. So that's
you know what else happened in 84?
Don't tell me you were born.
I was born in 84.
That's terrible. Look, if you're not driving your car or not feeling bad
not old
about
like me, and you're not driving a car, don't feel bad about being old. Go ahead and get out that E1R bingo card. We still haven't updated it, but it doesn't matter because it's funny.
It's pretty good as it is.
It's pretty good. I've looked at
and we are actually quite pleased to welcome back because he was on the Live at Barber episode, Lemon's veteran, judge, Tesla driver, extraordinaire human being, roaster of butts, Craigers. So Craigers, welcome back to Everyone Racers.
Hi, glad to be here.
You forgot wearer of skirts.
Skirts. Oh.
Kilt.
Do you know what they call it a kilt, Jeff?
No, why?
Because that's what I did to the last guy that called it a skirt.
You haven't heard that one before?
Never.
Oh, come on.
I could see that coming from, like the Earth was flat.
Oh, let's start with what you working on,
Jeff.
Look, everybody wants to know, so let's not bury the lead. Did Jeff get the lawn cut or not? So as you remember, I had a busted deck on my lawnmower, and it was a doozy. The deck repair went down. I had 24 hours off. It took 4 or 5 trips to the Lowe's Depot. The welder was in operation. My brother had to come over to help. It was crazy. It got dark, but I finished mowing my lawn. I got it all repaired. Yes.
You only did it because we challenged you.
No, because my wife was going to divorce me if I didn't mow the lawn.
Wait, this is the only thing she was going to divorce you about?
No.
Hey, Jeff, you want to know what happened at my house today?
What happened at your house today?
The yard guy drove up.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, he left.
Not going to happen.
Oh, that's funny.
So since that,
there are no Mexicans in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. That's why
of course there are. Lots. I even have one. I want to mow my own lawn. It's very zen.
Do you keep your Mexican on retainer?
Yes, actually.
In a box?
No.
You're like, I have one. Oh, okay.
Build the wall.
Okay. No, we call him when it's bigger things, like pulling stumps and building gardens and things. So since that was my only day off, I did 0 work on the TR7. Sorry, Bruce. I'm keeping it another week. And lots of boxes have come in from China, and it is oh so beautiful. I don't know whether to actually show any of the items, but Mental is going to be very jealous of my new sweatshirt.
I was like, why am I jealous of a bag of plastic stuff? But yeah, see, you're right. I'm jealous.
Yeah, you are. And everybody's going to be jealous of the little pillows that I got for
so
to
cute.
go with our theme.
I'm gonna need 2 of those, the big ones, and I'm gonna need them by tonight.
Okay, you can't. So they are little NOS bottles.
He missed it. Yep.
Totally. Whoosh.
They're little NOS bottles, and they're headrest pillows for your hella sweet, I don't know what, Civic that doesn't actually have nitrous. So they're pretty cool.
Yep.
I'll post a picture for the show notes. That's all I'm working on.
That's it.
Okay.
You didn't talk about working too much.
I worked every day except Saturday. And
Yes.
this week I will work every day except Saturday. And then I will begin the time that we call summer, where I only work.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And when you say, I'll get it all done this summer, and then
Right. And then do nothing.
nothing.
Right.
Nothing. Good
Okay.
mental.
So I saw the delightful fundraiser you were doing on Facebook where you were in the dunk tank.
Me.
And as
No, him, yes, got it.
yeah. And as probably one of the most quick-witted person any of us know, I was so disappointed because like the guy hits it, knocks Jeff in the water, and Jeff just kind of like resets it and he's climbing back up, and the guy says, "Am I done?" And Jeff's like, "No, you paid for 3." And I'm just like, I expect anyone that like throws a ball at Jeff at a dunk tank to like walk away with some sort of eating disorder when Jeff's done with them.
No,
I expect
I did
so
that.
much trash talk to come out of that.
Yeah. No. There was so much trash talk. One of my fantastic student leaders, who is transgendered, who I pal around with pretty closely, I told her not to throw like a girl, and she threw it at my head.
Oh, yeah.
See, all right, so good. I'm glad to know that you just weren't up there being passive because
No.
it's no fun if Jeff's not being Jeff.
No. And Lex is a good friend, so she wasn't that mad at me, but she definitely wung it at my head.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Chrissy, why don't you tell us what
I guess
you're
I'll
working
go.
on?
Okay, so
You
it is
also did
crunch.
some fundraising, right?
Not yet.
Oh.
So we'll get there. Crunch time for the Matura Stewart wedding. My sister gets married in T-minus 3 days. So
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th, yep, with, of course, the
Hi,
Star
Jen.
Wars theme. Hi, Jen. Yep, she'll probably be listening. So while Chris was racing, and we knew of this ahead of time, I was working hard at my parents' house to make it perfect. We have a bunch of out-of-town guests that are coming, and my parents' house is going to be the home base for the wedding. So I used all kinds of my handy skills because my dad is working 12-hour days because he is in an outage. So I used the Sawzall to cut up some Trex, stapled some lights on the deck. I installed some plant hangers with a drill, and I uninstalled and reinstalled a mailbox. So I was girl power. Yes.
And not to mock the work that you've done, but you know, everyone that's ever eaten any of your mom's cookies knows that like Martha Stewart calls your mom for advice on how to make her house more homey and well, so you say, you know, to make the house perfect, but
yes, well, there's a lot of things we're just trying to make it look really nice and replace a lot of things that haven't been replaced in a while. So after the wedding, I am going to have another event. So my new side volunteer job, I was part of my Parks and Rec, and now I joined my local library board, and that's why you all are starting so late, because I was at the meeting. I am running and coordinating a fundraiser for them. That's next weekend. I
and
told
it's
them
really hard to do a meeting at the library because everybody keeps going.
No, we stand in the back, and and it's not even open. We were in a meeting that it wasn't even open. Anyway.
So was it another tribal council? Did you vote anyone out or anything?
That was last week. No, the lady, and then we got vetoed for the person we tried to vote out. What a hot mess. Like, such a hot mess. I'm ready to quit already, but I'm running an event in 2 weeks, so I can't. Or a week, a little over the week. Yes. Anyway, that's it. And then, so just no rest. One thing after another. Chris, tell us what you're doing. Oh, I know what you're doing. Yes.
I raced at CMP and had to get stuff and me there, and then had to clean up when I got home. It's very exciting. I mowed the grass and watered the new grass that I'm trying to grow, which usually I fail at terribly, but some product that I use that was like patch master kind of stuff, which is different than the previous one I used, is working really nicely actually in front of the raised vegetable bed we have. So I'll have to use that more often. Did some laundry, washed my race suit, found out about a Febreze-like spray for use on Nomex. So that's in my Amazon cart.
Is that the molecular
Yeah,
spray?
that's the one.
Yeah.
We're
Do you
going
have
to
one
be
of
needing a
them?
link to that for the show notes.
Well, it's in my Amazon cart. Once we get it and we'll do this is
test
very
it.
important consumer advice. We shall test it and report
Jeff,
back.
do you have this?
I do not have the molecule.
It doesn't matter if you have it.
Because if
You
Jeff
still
had
smell.
it, Chris is going to like cancel the order. Jeff goes, oh yeah, I use that on my suit every week. Cancel order.
Right, it doesn't work.
I desperately need that for Curtis. Just saying.
Yes. Yep. Hey, we'll report back on how it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mental. You've been busy. I know. So what is it?
Yes. So I also mowed my lawn, but I did it last week and trimmed all the hedges and got everything ready to put the house up. We talked, and we talked last week. We had 2 offers on the house. Well, in the course of doing their 7 days of due diligence, they sent the most anal retentive home inspector in the history of home inspectors.
Oh, no.
Yes and no, because it actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. This guy went through and found everything wrong, but what he did find also is that we actually had some mold in our crawl space, which freaked the buyers out. It's not that we're dirty people. I'm a messy person. I'm not dirty. But in Georgia, we've had 82 inches of rain, which is a record for the last 20 years. So just today, we had a mold abatement company come out, and they've completely gone through, cleaned everything. They said basically everything you've done in your crawl space is correct. You're down there, you keep it clean, you've got the vapor barrier, but just a lot of rain. So we've had some mold. More so, they found some problems with our roof, which we don't have leaks. Well, yes, but so we called our homeowners insurance company, and they came out and said, oh yeah, absolutely, you've got wind damage. How would you like your new roof paid for? So not only are we getting a new roof, but the price of the house is going up.
Oh.
So
did
we're
they bail?
Oh yeah, the previous buyers bailed, but the house hits the market on Friday with the promise of a new roof, a 10-year warranty on the mold abatement in the basement, and then a couple of small items like GFCI outlets that I had not installed in the bathroom and some other stuff. So house is going to be better, and it's going to be more expensive on Fridays.
Okay.
That's what we've been doing. The mold abatement team is in, which is why I'm broadcasting from my back porch, because the house smells a little chemically right now. I have done oil changes on everything, the Suburban, the RV, and also, if you guys remember last year when I got my dad's V-Star, the cheapo Chinese eBay bobber, it runs and drives.
Yay.
It's really, really loud. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear this or not.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
It's straight piped. I've got to mold up the exhaust and put on some other little bits, but it actually works. And Craggers, you were busy this weekend. What have you been working on?
So I was with Chris at CMP, or I think really Chris was with me at CMP.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we did a thing at CMP. And then Sunday we stopped doing a thing at CMP and
just in time for Jesus.
Yeah, just in time for Jesus. And we drove the trailer straight through Jesus hour and had to unload the trailer, clean coolers, move our mini big green eggs, and whatnot. Just all that. Kurt and I have a fairly good system at this point. So we drop the trailer. We know the exact things we have to get out. And I actually have to go move the Del Sol this weekend, some other stuff coming up. I ordered all the parts to fix all the stuff that we found on the Del Sol. I'm sure we'll get into that. And then by an odd circumstance, I am apparently going to be working on my resume. So, I work.
Happy or sad work on your resume?
This is awesome.
You're supposed to move the slide on that, Jeff. Go to
it doesn't work. It's just I play it like a trumpet.
There's a YouTube video that'll show you exactly how to do it.
I'm assuming you're bringing that trumpet to New Jersey.
Yes.
Trombone.
Yes. Trombone. Excuse me.
Last one.
Yep.
I work government IT, and we had some unfortunate contracting news, so I'm updating my resume today. So there you go.
All right.
But the only thing that stays the same in government contracting is that things change. So no worries. Everybody's ready for it.
I do remember the contract that provided our SIM support in Colorado. It was very specialized, and you couldn't just bring anybody to do it. but they were always having to renew the contract. So finally they found a disabled female Native American veteran and just walked over there and said, look, we're going to pay you to be the president of this company. We'll send you a check every month, and all you have to do is be the most protected minority in the history of protected minorities so that my contract can stay in place. And she said, yeah, that's cool.
Hey, Mental, who is strangling a cat behind you?
I was going to ask the same question.
I thought it was like, what
It's a
kind of
bird.
animal
It's
is
actually a bird. I'm in my backyard. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, this is just one of our many. What are the many forms of wildlife in my lovely wooded backyard? Should you feel the need to relocate to suburban Georgia?
I was going to say that sounds a lot like suburban South Carolina, and I suspected the other three on the call had absolutely on the podcast had no idea what that noise was. So there you go.
No, it's something dying is what it sounds like.
If it was lower pitch, it would actually be an alligator. So, there you go.
Oh, great. All right.
I didn't know they yelled like that.
Oh, they grunt. They grunt very loudly.
They do, actually. Yeah, they don't like to eat people. They'll let you know, hey, stupid, you're about to get bit.
Well, then.
That's awesome. Are we ready for news and notes time? I have one bit of news, but it's really small. The smart car is dead in America. That's it.
Nobody really cares.
I didn't think so.
I don't know. I passed an EV smart car this morning. I was going, it's tiny and I have absolutely no use for it, but it's a cool little car. I'm sad to see that they're actually killing it altogether.
Well, the gas smart, and I drove one of those early in when they started importing them, thanks to our friend Jim Thwaite, who had a bright green one that is now owned by HAMSA for some reason. And it was
really, I thought that was his daughter's.
no, it blew a motor or something, and now it's in HAMSA's possession.
I was trying to talk HAMSA into cutting the roof off, taking the doors off, and it's a great pit vehicle.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, great one.
So I was tremendously not impressed when I said, so what kind of gas mileage does this thing get? Because the size of it, you would expect it to get excellent gas mileage. And, whenever you say like, hey, does this thing get good gas mileage? They go, oh no, but it has a great crash protection. Like,
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Have you seen those things?
It's a titanium shell or something, and they had a thing where they set a Suburban on top of one of the frames.
Yeah.
As a demo.
I think my Mazda 3 got better gas mileage than a Gas Smart.
Yeah.
And it was definitely more pleasant to drive and much more useful. So.
And it didn't have a Mitsubishi 3-cylinder, so
exactly.
My dad had the Scion version, the IQ, which he actually loved.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta go find this bird. And hey, shut up! I'm talking.
I
Also,
think you got the next story.
I do. So Jalopnik actually posted a really interesting little listicle thing that said, fire extinguisher person is the most important person on your pit crew. And they had a video as to why. Recently at Virginia International, they had one of the supporting races for EMSA, and the Bentley team came in there, and that car full tilt caught on fire during refueling. And as everyone is running away, the fire extinguisher person is charging into the fire, puts the fire out and saves the car, the driver, and nobody was fine. In fact, the car went back out on the track. If you click on the link, because the link was like a paragraph when I posted it, so I just updated the link on the show notes, and it's going to be in our show notes for listeners to click on too. It's an interesting article.
So mental. I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you, Jeff. The part of that video that shocked me was you saw the guy dive in with the extinguisher, and then someone jumps out of the flames, and then like 3 seconds later, the dude they were trying to strap into the car jumps out of the flames.
Yeah,
God, there's another guy in the car. I understood why he was advancing on the car. That was great. I could only hope that my fire extinguisher people with zero experience do the same thing.
I was very impressed with the amount of fire extinguishing that happened with that little, like whatever, 2-pound, 4-pound, whatever the hell size it was. Like the thing did not look that big. It looked like the same size we're using at all of our Lemons pit stops, and it did a decent amount of fire suppression.
Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Lemons rally.
Yeah, so it's on right now. It is on day 2, I believe. And I was going through some posts. They were kind of just posting what's coming up and some of the cars that were featured on there. But I found a post that I thought was pretty funny that it was, so our friend Florida Man and some lady journalist. Dr. Florida Man and some other lady journalist who we've had on the show before. They're working towards their negative 10,000 points. So they said there's strike 1 is getting an auto journalist. And then the second one is if they drive their a press car. And then strike 3 is wearing these Pilates flip-flops, which I don't know what they were, but they were both.
They were, she wanted to get the most obnoxious driving shoes, the Pilates driving shoes. She couldn't find any in her size. So
they bought flip-flops.
Well, because Florida Man Donnie, he always wears flip-flops.
He just wrote the word Pilates on his flip-flops.
Okay, exactly. Well, that's I didn't get the message, but so that's what they're doing.
And also, if you follow either Steph or fail_Inc. on Instagram, they go through Starbucks, and we'll talk about why, but they paid for their coffee in nickels.
Yeah. Steph the Pef on Instagram, at Steph the Pef.
So you guys may not know, I actually, unless you saw my Instagram, I actually met up with Duff in one of the rally stops in Charleston last night.
Oh, no way. Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
They survived. Well, they're running the Jet Electrica.
Well, so to be clear, the rest of the rally was in Jacksonville, Florida.
They were a little behind.
So their rally's going well.
Yes, they were actually at a boat dock in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, getting pictures of a pelican. My son and I drove out there, and I met their electric car with my electric car, and they were obviously envious. We then followed them to their hotel where they just decided to just say screw it. They found a hotel in Charleston that had a level 2 charger, and they stopped there. They are having a very slow rally. I believe their current plan is to give up trying to actually get rally points because they actually got a bunch of bonus points for being the stupidest idea that's kept the rally.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible.
It's so much worse than it was originally. Like, it's a brief description of what it is. It's a Dodge Omni-based car, like Plymouth Horizon-based car. Yeah. That has 2 racks of BMW i3 batteries in the back, hooked to the original forklift motor and Volkswagen transmission, and he's taken a 12,000-watt Sam's Club generator and put that under the hood. And then on the roof rack is a boat tank of gas that feeds the generator to make this a hybrid of sorts.
Oh, please, someone tell me their Instagram name. I have to see this.
It is
Duff Beer Racing.
Yeah.
Duff Beer Racing is their Instagram name.
If they're not on it, they are missing golden opportunity.
Yeah. It is a horrible, horrible idea, and they know that. They're just doing it because it's a horrible idea, really, and Roger's a glutton for punishment.
Yes, he is.
So, yeah, it's really, truly frightening. It's much better, though, than when he had like a hit or miss engine in the passenger seat for a while, driving some other kind of generator or something.
Well, it was the same generator, just in the passenger seat, nearly in his lap. Yeah. So he finally moved it under the hood. Well, the problem is it worked better in the passenger seat because it had enough room to cool. Under the hood, when the car's sitting still, it overheats and shuts off. So his plan of driving 100 miles and then parking and charging isn't working at all. So he has to go find Whole Foods stores and hotels with chargers to go charge the car up. It's awesome.
Well, one day ago, there's a picture of him sitting in, I can't tell who it is, sitting in the driver's seat, and it says, reading the manual to figure out why the electric car is now limiting itself to 5 miles per hour.
That would be because there's a regen brake controller, and the generator was overheating the regen brake controller.
Maybe you should call them.
Wow.
So all of you people that there it is, Duff Beer Racing. All you people, oh God, he's still in Georgia. All you people that think you can build one of these electric cars to win this race, this is just a guy trying to drive this thing down the road.
Yes.
Oh.
Well.
Wow. Let's talk about some racing.
How about Road America is a great like driving down the road. Champ Car had their event at Road America. And we missed a 14-hour event at Charlotte's Roval, apparently. First was Damn Sun Racing. Second was Our Bank, proving yet again that Black Sab rules, because Mental loves that joke from Seinfeld for the 3 people that get it. And third was Simon Says, and their fastest class swept the first 20 spots. So I guess that's that.
Wow.
Now, we did talk about the Road America event, so we handicapped that one a little bit. So they said they had like 50-something cars, 15 very boring BMWs, Miatas, Hondas, whatever. Yes. So we've got some, but we actually weren't terrible at this one.
Yeah, our Matt Connolly Motorsports with the well vetted name through a marketing company decided that was not joking. He paid a marketing company to tell him to use his name. Was ninth Saturday and fourth Saturday, or maybe Sunday.
I'm sorry, they were. Yeah, it was Friday. Yeah. It's Friday and Saturday. Okay. They were ninth Friday. My bad.
Got it. And interesting, he was class and exhibition class Friday, but C class Saturday. So whatever, he worked better on Saturday.
There's some bad cars. The Mopar Forever in the PT Cruiser was 10th on Friday and won the D class, but did not take the green on Saturday. No Brakes Racing in their Hyundai Accent was 30th and 31st and 11th and 6th in Class A. That's a lot of numbers, but just know that the Hyundai Accent did not do well.
No,
but the PT Cruiser did just as well as
you'd expect.
Matt Connolly Motorsports.
I like that there's a team name and somebody thinks they're funny. Drunken Squirrel Racing. Not sure how they thought that. In their 88 Cougars, 3rd overall, 1 lap out of the top spot. Ooh. So that's crazy and great. Limpy Screwdriver Racing in a Firebird. Hopefully. Ludicrous Speed took the top spot in C both days, as well as overall on Friday, subpar, no par in their Neon.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they did really well.
Mental.
You're up.
Read here.
Well, he's sitting in the dark now, which is kind of hilarious.
Fine.
Oh, wait. I think he's frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, he's frozen. Okay.
Anyway.
So 2nd overall on Friday.
Guys, hear me? I'm here.
Nope.
So, I'll
maybe.
go turn on the light. I can hear you guys.
Okay,
Great.
You don't sound very good. Anyway, 2nd overall on Friday. 5 seconds back was Premium Dudes, and Saturday Crimson Tide was between Drunken Squirrel and Matt Connolly for 2nd. So moving on, I think we are moving on to a different type of racing. We are going with the gravel-spewing former guest Santiago, handicapped the Dirtfish Olympus Rally in Shelton, Washington this past weekend. By his own admission, he guessed wildly. How did he do? There's a lot of carnage. 17 cars DNF'd. No fun.
That seems about right for rally. Baby Solberg won overall. Higgins lost brakes on one stage and wasn't able to make it. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Mental.
Good. That's great.
That's great.
Mental's
Drag your
dragging
chair.
the patio furniture around.
Yep.
Thanks.
This is a home renovation
Mental.
show now. Which is good. Limited 2-wheel drive, Hovinga and Ray in a Fiesta ST, but Santiago's pick of the century was 2nd. Limited 4-wheel drive, Santiago was right. It was Seahorn Rally Team and their boring Subaru STI.
In the naturally aspirated 4-wheel drive category, he and the rest of us all wanted the Brat to win, but it did get 9th. The winners were Linz in a Subaru. Who cares? Open 2-wheel drive, Santiago picked Eric Potts Racing, and he was spot on. That's 2 that he got right. Open 4-wheel drive was Solberg and Grade in their boring Subaru, but his pick was Higgins, and they came in 2nd.
Now, for the ATV classes, he picked one of the 2 Yamahas, but Chris mentioned that no one really cares, and, well, he was right because neither of them actually finished. So, unlike those rally UTVs, Santiago is pretty on.
Just buy a damn Jeep, people. You don't need one of those things.
What about one of those, like, Roxor things? Could you do that? Like those little 5/8 scale Jeeps? Anyway, keep going. Craig, you got something to read for us?
Apparently, Craig should have read ahead on the notes. I'm reading this cold now. The next rally is in Southern Ohio Forest Rally, May 16th through 18th. Santiago says he's almost ready. Still finishing with a few last-minute prep items. Apparently there's a link in our notes along with a new for this year Thursday night on a spectator stage through a park in the middle of town. So there you go.
Absolutely. And Saturday, Snap Oversteer narrowly edged Mad Greek by 1.5 seconds. Third overall was M80, but Sunday M80 put a lap between them and Snap Oversteer, with Laura Rada, whatever his name is, and left back to complete the podium. So
I'm sorry. It looks like I goofed this up, but I thought I had this
Yes.
the Lucky
you did.
Dog stuff. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
what? I moved the paragraph because it didn't make
Well,
any
then
sense
why
where it was.
Really? Because it led in right to what Chris just read.
okay.
All right, no fighting, everyone.
That's all right.
Just tell us what the hell that race was that Chris was
Okay, well, I'll do my part then.
Go for it.
So we're going to be talking about lemons in a little bit, but we're going to take a moment to talk about Lucky Dog. So this summer, why not bring the fam to the West Coast or Midwest and experience a Lucky Dog event? What better way to broaden everyone's horizons? Looks like they still have openings for the Salty Dog Sprint Duro in Utah Motorsports, and that it still has that whole long list of family fun activities what they can do while you are racing. And there's still openings for the June 1 and 2 event at Pacific Raceway and July 6th and 7th at Portland International, and some others. There's all kinds of stuff. And if anything, you should go to Flacktoberfest on October 12th and tell us how it is, because it sounds like so much fun. And everything that Lucky Dog does is pretty fun. So in the meantime, they just had their big event at our favorite track, the Ridge. Please.
And that's where the stuff I was talking about makes sense.
Well, I wrote the paragraph and didn't add the second line. The last line.
There's some other things that happened out there in the at the Ridge. For the class winners, Saturday Snap Oversteer was A, Giant Motorsports was B, and C was In-Law Outlaws. Thank you. Sunday, M80 was moved to the Super Dog class. In other words, they were so cheaty that they got bumped out of the competitional classes. Oddly enough, their only other car was called Safety Truck, which is a great name that we must steal at some point. A was Snap Oversteer, B was Lolo Rodado again, and C was Vertigo Racing, spelled like Vincent Van.
And I think don't they run a 944 in Lemons on some of the West Coast races?
I believe so.
Yeah. So Lucky Dog's next race is May.
Wait, before you go, Mental, can I say something else? I want to mention that our favorite seat-stealing fool was there again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was.
Randy Popes?
Randy Popes was there. And he gave he did something like 13 hours of racing over the weekend in like 9 different cars. So he still continues to steal laps from us hard-working bloke who don't have high-dollar driving contracts.
You know who doesn't steal seats?
Who doesn't steal seats?
Greg Biffle.
True. I thought we were going to go to I thought for sure.
I like where this was going. I thought that was going to be a great segue. But at the same time, so Lucky Dog's next race is May 4th and 5th. And actually this weekend, it's a Lucky Dog Desert Dash and Cinco de Mayo at Willow Springs. They're going to be on the Big Willow. That's presented by Next Gen Head Neck Restraint. It's a 7+6. We say this all the time, but folks, their races do fill up quick and sell out. So go check them out at racelucky.com and sign up for something. And Craggers, you know who else never steals a seat?
Chrissy's mom.
What'd you think of the cookies, Craig?
Oh, they were glorious. We actually ate them all on the way back from the track. So
excellent.
that was great.
I'm surprised any were left over then. But
Kurt and I set some aside, and they didn't last long. They didn't last long on the truck on the way home.
That's okay. That's what they're for.
Mm-hmm.
That's experience talking right there. Oh, these are for the ride home.
True.
Yep.
So, moving on to
Listener feedback.
Our first shout out Monday, we were looking for people that were going to talk about racing a 24. If you're new to it, if you've done it, we actually got some good responses. For example, our favorite person, Dr. Florida Man Donnie, said only an idiot would run a 24-hour race. Also, have I mentioned I'm an idiot? Kurt, who we all know has the best butt around, said, I was there for the CMP 24. The best part of the weekend, Chrissy's mom's cookie. Thanks, Chrissy's mom. And that's from him, not from me. I always say thank you, but that's like Kurt saying thank you to Chrissy's mom. Mm-hmm. Good old Matt F said they ran 3 or 4 24-hour races with tripping out, and they had trouble sleeping for a short duration after getting out of the car. That actually makes sense because you're kind of wired. Loved it, but it's a lot of work. Finished 18 out of 84 cars, probably bottom 10 in lap times, but like any other endurance race, just stayed out turning laps. And Scott M. said he's run 2 24-hour events at Mercedes Sugarland and the 10 to midnight trial run at Audubon. If you
Okay. And while Mental and the Screaming Bird take a little break, same topic up on Insta Twatgram. Mental's neighbors down in Atlanta, the Cross-Threaded podcast, simply said, "Big tank, long stints, dominate," which is about right. And Giant Dave talked about his 24. He said, "Class C win with a veteran team of drivers battling both Duff Beer and Sutnick. Soggy bacon for the win. EFI rear issues and rear brakes wouldn't bleed pre-race. 70% was deemed good enough."
Oh, no.
I believe Giant Dave was running with Dr. Donnie and Steph the Pep.
I believe so.
Oh, was he? He wasn't running the Speedy Cop?
No, he was
No,
running.
he was not.
No,
He was
Giant
running with,
Dave's like doing his own thing these days,
yeah.
man.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I mean, I think he'll run with Speedy Cop whenever. I don't know who Jeff had with
He's got
him.
a solo album now, so.
Okay, so we posted up that we were talking about the racing at True 24 today, and while many of you just like the post, Daryl Harris come in and said the Escort done blowed up, hung out and wrenched on other people's cars all night. Thanks for doing that, Daryl. Sure, they appreciated it.
Yeah, we also did a "What You Working On" call out, and we have to say that Steve, the dishwashing fairy, sent us a great picture. It was his oldest son in the wheel well of the family minivan, and he said, "I ain't working on a damn thing. My 15-year-old Lemons wannabe racer son, Josh," that's his son, Josh, not my son, Josh, "is working on his first set of brakes on the family truckster minivan. Pads and rotors being done. They were all original to the van. The rear brake pads were more theoretical than actual. He's doing a good job and getting all grimy and dirty. He just needs to get himself a set of good knee pads." And he said, "Does anyone on E1R have insight on knee pads?" No.
No. Not at all.
Chris, I feel like you should show the group the picture that your friend Rennie sent you of his son on the
Yeah, this is my friend Sean sent me this picture of his 3-year-old. He walks outside, and the 3-year-old has. I'll show this first, and then I'll describe it to our listening audience. So.
His lawnmower works.
The kid
That's not dangerous at all.
had driven his little, Power Wheels John Deere Gator up the oil change ramps and was lying under the front of it. And he just came out to find that. Isn't that cute?
Because apparently that's what all the vehicles in his household does.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, they have basically new Mazdas and actually a new company car now. So like he changes the oil, and that's about all he ever does at home. But isn't that fun?
I don't even change my oil. What the hell?
Yeah,
He said that he got out a skateboard so he could use that as a crawler to get under the.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cute.
Hey Jeff, I don't change oil either, but it's for a different reason.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Elon.
Fun. Oh, I needed Elon.
His car won't check.
Actually, hey, hang on a second. Yeah, that one actually works for me this time.
All right.
That's great.
Mental, it's getting dark where you are. You look like the most recent episode of Game of Thrones. I don't see anything going on over there. Let's talk main topic time.
Okay.
True.
Yay.
24-hour race. Is it true as true or real as F? I'm trying not to curse so Mental's dad doesn't get mad at me. Let's talk about the joys and concerns of a 20.
Hang on.
Seriously?
I'm dragging my ancient cannonball across this floor. Sorry. Excuse me while I do that. I apologize.
Put us on mute when you do that.
I'm sorry. Apparently mental broke me. Oh my god.
Oh, that's good. I needed that too.
I'm so mad I don't have a bingo card up and all these great things are
Oh, there's so many. I need this.
Okay. Oh, I can check my own off. That's awesome.
You are broken. Okay, anyway.
Chrissy, save us. Bring us back.
I was just saying that Chris and Kriegers were there. So we want to hear about your experience. I don't know if we want to just we want to talk about the winners first, or we want to, and then we can talk about what you guys experienced and how you did
Let's
it.
do a recap.
Okay.
So.
Well, hey, Chris.
Well, so we know that you guys were down there at Carolina Motorsports for a True 24, and I know that when Jay and Nick and those guys are looking at the schedule, they think 24-hour racing. What track is the absolute worst for tires? Let me think. But what's interesting about these True 24s is they do bring out some some good racers. The Flying Pigs came all the way down from Michigan. They were fast.
Mm-hmm.
Silver Senior set a time of 1:55, which in any race, that's fast around CMP.
Yeah, that was on a Lincoln Mark 8 with like 305 tires all around.
Well, and it's a great time if you don't want to save your tires.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Which they finished like 50-something, so apparently they were not paying attention to that one. But also, I think the overall went to the Rod Throwing Fools. They had 600 laps, averaging just over 70 miles an hour, which for 24 hours across CMP, they covered 1,367 miles. So again, anybody that thinks they can do this in an electric car, that's what you've got to be able to do. You've got to be able to average 70 miles an hour for that kind of distance.
From what we heard from Eric, too, they did the last 14 hours of the race with no clutch.
Holy crap, really?
Yeah.
Well, that was an MR2,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an MR2.
It's a very experienced team in an MR2, and they did not throw a rod this time, but managed to clutchless shift for 14 hours between third and fourth. So,
Talk about the whole thing. Go ahead.
Sorry, as I recall, we were actually passing them a good bit in the last half of the race, and it didn't matter, of course, but
they had quite a lead built up by that point. But,
that explains that. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in the awards that you actually care about, IOE went to Senior Citizens Club of America and their Datsun B210.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's no surprise as long as they were out and keep running. That's usually where it goes.
The quick story with them, they lost their transmission and could not get another one, surprisingly, for a Datsun B210 GX.
No way.
So they took the trans all apart, and they just welded a shaft straight through the transmission. So it was just
gear drive.
It was
What
just
gear?
It was basically just a direct drive housing is all the transmission was between the clutch and the rear end. And it worked for several hours before they said, this can't last. And they pulled it off the track for a little while and then went back out. It was amazing. And that was a terrible car. And that team, though, what a great attitude. Just, they were always having fun, even when things were terrible. So great for them.
Well, I'll be honest, Chris. I simply loved that team just because of Tammy.
Absolutely. She owned the role that she had that weekend, so, no doubt.
Sorry, I'm laughing through it. Tammy and Chris Rude apparently had a Eric Rude, not Chris Rude. Eric Rude. They apparently had a thing. So I enjoyed watching that develop over the weekend.
Absolutely, it was all right in our view. It was great. Oh well.
Okay.
Sorry,
these
Chrissy.
long time flirtation deals.
They were doing a very trash theme, and Tammy, one of their, they were actually a bunch of SCCA racers, and Tammy, she did the bright red lipstick and a cigarette hanging out of her mouth the entire weekend. She was dressing just a little trashy. Anytime she was like off track, she had, go ahead, Jeff, go ahead.
I was going to say, was Tammy a dude?
No, Tammy was very much a girl. I suspect that she was quite attractive underneath the trash makeup. And every time she'd go anywhere near the pit, she'd start screaming at Eric about managers and wanting to see someone to fix something. And Eric would start screaming back at her. And it was great. It was great.
Oh, so she was the I want to talk to your manager woman.
And Eric was throwing it right back at her. It was
Nice.
glorious to watch. It was glorious to watch.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine Eric yelling at anyone.
Oh, he was well into it.
Oh yeah.
He was well into it.
That's awesome.
All right, Chrissy, get us back. What else won?
Nope. Class B went to Coming In Hot and their 08 Crown Vic. And then Duff Beer got Org Choice. Heroic Fixed went to Club and their Prelude. Club? Is that who that was?
Yeah, it's called Club. And they had a hot prelude. It's a big surprise. They had to wrench on it.
Okay. Just Choice went to Smoky Unit and their Fiat 124. And Speed You Cop went to Life of the Paddock. Wait, what?
It's the Speedy Cop Memorial Award. There you go.
Oh, okay.
He sold the trailer.
Got it. Sorry, no periods. It means I can't
There you
read.
go.
Life of the Paddock went to Cone Crushers and their Dull Soul. And the regional award went to...
That's
what?
some Cone Crushers and their Dull Soul.
That would be us.
That would be you. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I obviously didn't write this. Regional word, Franken Guitar Car Heads went their 78
All one word.
Camaro.
That's their team name. I'm not making that up.
They'll be praised.
There you go. They'll be priced. And I met those guys a couple years ago at Barber, and it's like a trailer dealer from down in Alabama, and they've had that same 78 Camaro now for years, and they are actually usually pretty funny.
They didn't get the car on track until 3:45 in the morning. I know this because I was up at 3:45 in the morning sitting with Eric and Steve, and that thing rolls up, and Steve goes, "Oh, yeah, there it goes. All right." And then Eric's like, "Yep, 3:45." That's, small block Chevy things.
That was their first lap?
Yes.
Yes.
They'd blown it up in testing, and it took them from testing until 3:45 in the morning to replace a carbureted small block Chevy.
Well,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, where were you going to find parts for that? I mean, kind of a break.
I know.
So
anyway.
Speaking of car, small block Chevys and changing motors and things, how did our boy Dean and the 944 do?
Dean, they were doing okay in testing. They did the night testing. They were working on the car. They got the setup much better. They were doing fine in the morning. First two drivers got through. Then Mark got in. And, they was burning some oil, so they kept stopping every hour and filling the oil up. 2 laps into Mark's stint and spun a bearing. Number 2, real bad. So they got in. They got another motor from someplace, and this guy who they'd bought parts from the previous day when their fuel rail exploded said, well, I've got a motor. I have absolutely no idea what condition it's in, but you can have it for $300. And it was the only one around. They said, okay, fine. So they swapped that motor out.
Whoa.
And got it started, and
That knock you hear is not a friend at the door.
No, and
your rods.
And that was until about 3 a.m. And I saw Matt the next day at about 10 o'clock. He wandered over and goes, "Oh man, this is tough." So he needed a hug. So
well. Sometimes you eat the bear. Sometimes the bear eats your multicolored shorts.
Okay.
Yep.
So I feel like while I live with the man, I don't actually know what's going on. So can you start from the beginning? So what was testing? I didn't realize they had night testing, which makes total sense, but I didn't realize they had that. So can you just start with how did Friday go? What was going on? And then just kind of give us what happened through the weekend so we can kind of gauge on teams and
sure.
that kind of stuff.
Do we want to go through just quickly what the results were a little bit and then go into that?
Mm-hmm.
Or
did we finish the results?
Well,
the results are done.
No, everything we handicapped is below, yes.
Forget that.
Yeah,
we talked
just
about
tell us the story.
We talked about the important stuff. Craigers, why don't you talk about Friday?
So Friday, yeah. So my car testing. My theory is always a lap in testing is a lap I don't have on track. And we used to blow cars up, shortly after testing, and I couldn't do it. Well, Kurt and I showed up at the track Thursday, and the track said, "Are you doing night testing?" And I kind of looked at Kurt and went, "Night testing?" So apparently they're running they were running a testing session from 7:30 to 9:30. The theory being so you could aim your headlights. And I decided maybe we ought to see if Kurt could actually see at night with his one eye. So we went and paid the money and decided we were going to do testing. Go ahead, Chris.
CMP testing is usually terrible too because it's like a HPDE day. You get your 20-minute session, and then someone else in a Corvette goes, and then later on you get another 20-minute session. So it's not a very good testing day to go on. So for those who have not been there.
Now, mind you, for 2 hours, I feel like we seriously overpaid. It was like $125 for our car to run 2 hours, which is a little high, I think, for just 2 hours. But so be it.
It was a valuable time, though, to
It was. So I was able to get.
Did they limit you to 2 hours? Like that was the entire length of the test, or
so
did you just run 2 hours?
So your option, you could run the normal CMP test day, which is a normal HPDE.
20 minutes on, 20 minutes off.
Yeah, and you could have done that, and it would have only cost you $75 to do the 7:30 to 9:30 session. But of course, I don't do test day, so we paid $125 to do the 7:30 to 9:30 session, and we could open run through that entire 2 hours.
go.
And my goal was put everybody through the car, 2 or 3 laps, get everybody comfortable, see what the headlights look like, and aim them and whatnot. I quickly figured out that the sundown, because they started at 7:30 right before the sun went down.
Which is the hardest time, yeah.
It is. And you got to see
it's good to test then.
Absolutely. And you got to, now I went out and went, oh my God, the kink is a freaking nightmare with the sun just about to set.
Yeah, right there.
For those of you who don't know CMP, it has a fairly famous corner called the kink. It's high speed. You kind of take a right in the middle of this high speed, 2 sets of straights linked together, and you just kind of hold your foot down to the floor and you pray to God and you keep turning. And
when you don't hold your foot down to the floor, that's how a lot of those spins end up happening.
Well, I mean, it could go either way. Sometimes lift early, just don't lift for the wrong time, right?
Yeah.
So we're running through, and I went out for 3 or 4, probably 3 laps, and decided, oh my God, I can't see any of my turn-in points. I can't see where my normal markers are because the sun is just baking in the windshield. It was a nightmare. And I went, oh, this is great. I did my couple laps. I came in and said, the car's driving correctly, and I handed it off to our most inexperienced driver and said, go have fun.
Well, and that's actually saying something because that's kind of your home track, isn't it?
It is. It is our home track. We've got the most experience there. And the fact that I could not figure out where to turn in at the kink says a lot. But I handed it to the most inexperienced driver to figure out what he could and couldn't do. He didn't appear to have an issue with it. That's Richard, of course. Yep. He came back in going, oh no, it was, I can't mimic his British accent. I
was going to say British Richard?
Yes, British Richard. I wish I could mimic his accent. I can't.
British Richard.
He did a great job. He ended up having the sunset shift on track, and his times were good. Like Richard was turning some nice, good times. He was clean. He was quick. He was great.
It's a time zone difference. It actually wasn't sunset in England, so he was okay.
Well, that and they're also used to racing in fog and rain and just crappy weather.
But they're not used to seeing this glowing orb in the sky. They're not used to that. To be honest, our actual goal was to put Curtis in the car at night and see what he could do. We threw him in the car after it got dark. I think that was after Trevor practiced. I can't remember.
Yes, I went out after Richard, and I was having a good time, but it was still dusk, so I wasn't learning night stuff. I was just driving around having fun. But it was enough that I got my muscle memory of CMP in that car back, which is what I needed before a night shift, just to remember where I am and where my points are. And once you know where your braking points are, it's the same point in the dark or the nights. You just know, when I'm done braking, turn. Even if you can't really see it, it's about here. So that gives you an idea.
Yeah, and in fact, the trick is find a braking point that will look the same at night as it does during the day, right? If there's a mound of dirt or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sign, pick a sign because that's where you need to turn.
Because you can see that versus the surface.
Right. Well, if your headlights are aimed correctly, you can. But so then. We threw Curtis out, and I'll be honest, as we were standing in the paddock watching him practice, I kind of looked at Chris. I said, hey, Kurt's not doing too bad. He's looking fast in the kink, and I'm not seeing any problems. And I was like, cool, maybe we'll be all right. Curtis came in, he crawled out of the car and went, I can't effing do this. He was actually very upset. He briefly had a I'm never doing lemons again moment. But we worked through that.
The thought.
Right. I mean, he was very upset that night racing wasn't going to be something he could do. And so we talked through it. I said, no, that's fine. I'll put you out in the afternoon. I'll put you out in the morning and we'll figure it out. And, I had a plan in my head that I hadn't really shared with the team yet for organizing driver stints. And as soon as Curtis came out of the car, it solidified my plan. I said, okay. Let's get a piece of paper. Let's get a laptop. Let's pull all the stints together, and we started working out a stint plan that was running Curtis during the day, and then we had a 4-man team at night, and we worked through that plan, and then we blew that plan up much later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your spreadsheet was amazing.
Oh, you saw my spreadsheet?
Yes, I sent it to her so she would know when I was in the car.
Oh, yes, and that spreadsheet had no basis on reality by the time he was actually in the car.
Oh no, it
Isn't
did.
that the way it works?
It
was
did
close.
when in the afternoon it did.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
3 o'clock shift.
Yes.
So I knew he was in the car when the red flag went down. So,
I'm
that
actually interested, and I haven't seen it. So what kind of length of shifts do you do at a regular race, and what did you do?
So the Del Sol's fuel limited. At the average driver is going to get 2 hours out of the car. There's just no,
Chris will get 90 minutes.
Well, if Chris
dry.
or myself or Curtis are pushing really hard, you're right. You're going to get an hour and a half out of the car. I mean, and in fact, every driver kind of went out and went, if you don't get 2 hours out of the car, you're going to come in on the hook and we're going to laugh at you. So figure it out, right?
Yeah, so
it's kind of,
that leads to me going 4th gear through 8 and, like easing off to half throttle just after the kink because I'm not really going to gain any speed anyway. So stuff like that. But our fuel strategy changed a little bit because the first shift out, there was a full course yellow that lasted a long time. So that was when Trevor was out, and we said, well, let's keep him another half hour. He had plenty of gas. That buys us a little fuel window for when the heavy foot drivers get in and can really push the car. So we did that.
yeah.
Didn't do anything
Yeah.
uncharacteristically Lemons like mandate.
Oh, nope.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
I can't
worse,
hear you.
Mental.
That's not working. Nope.
Well, I guess we're not talking to
That's
Mental.
worse than Tube of Mockery. That was like you covered up your microphone with something. So, yeah. Anyway, so that we kept following with our 2-hour stints ish. After that, sometimes we had to start a little early. Sometimes we had to start, go a little longer. Then when the red flag screwed everything up a little bit. Fortunately, apparently the driver's okay. He drove off the track into the woods near the swamp of venomous snakes, and we don't really know why.
Did you see the video?
Saw the video.
Yeah, but I couldn't
because
see
I
exactly
sent you
what
guys,
happened.
Florida man's looks like it because it was like a straightaway almost. It looked like almost a mechanical failure because the car just dives.
So it's either a mechanical failure or the driver of the car that ended up life flighted out. He decided he wanted to go around somebody and didn't realize someone was sitting right to the right of him. That's kind of what it looked like to me.
So he
Yeah, it
pitted
looked like they
himself.
clipped each other.
He pitted himself against another driver, and he snuck right by the Armco. There was Armco out
Yeah,
there.
I saw that. Just get
Yeah.
that right, just almost like they did it on purpose. You couldn't have accidentally missed that Armco.
Yeah. He snuck right by the Armco and ended up off in the trees
Which
near
is not
the...
to imply that he did it on purpose. It was
No.
just
He
an odd
certainly did not.
percentage.
I don't know why
It was just an
anybody
odd
would.
percentage that would have threaded that needle. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so having been at, I don't know if you guys are familiar with CMP history, but I was at Sid's race, which is the race where a gentleman had a cardiac arrest and,
I remember reading about it.
yes, he actually passed away. They're figuring he was dead when he hit the tire barrier in 14. And so the track got eerily quiet. 4 or 5 other racers kind of ran over to our paddock going, oh my God, what happened? Because we all had flashbacks to Sid's race briefly. Chris was in the car, right? So
Chris was in the car.
So all Chris got to experience was a red flag on track, right?
Yeah.
Chris didn't get to experience the deathly quiet on the paddock and everybody kind of going, oh my God, is it happening again, right?
So
Yeah.
Chris, you made your gas quotient. Good job.
I totally did. Oh, I was totally running my extend my time on my fuel 4th gear before that, and then after that, nope, put it right down. But I have to say, I stopped by turn 3, right by the corner station. It worked out great, off to the right, and the corner worker was lovely. He came out, they told me what was going on. He gave me a bottle of water, which I shoved under my helmet, right?
Such a CMP thing. They are so nice down there.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Oddly enough, they black flagged all the race, which I don't know if you guys ever been at a couple races that have black flagged all. I have been to a few, and you all go to the paddock. You go to the paddock, and then I can actually look at the car and do some stuff. Except they pulled everybody into the hot pit on an alternating grid, and like left everybody there.
I said, don't touch the car.
Yeah, don't touch the car. Well,
I've seen them do it. Most of the races that have been black flag, they do exactly that.
I've seen that
they
too.
don't want to get anyone an advantage. They won't let you touch the car.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I've been at races where they black flag all because of lightning, and they send you to the paddock because they don't want a damn person policing you in the lightning, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we were expecting a little different. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to check the oil. I'm going to check the brake fluid. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And yeah, no. And then I walked around and everybody had their damn hoods up. So but in any case, going back to the driver that ended up in the trees, they brought Life Flight in. They landed Life Flight in between turns 7 and 8. And they transported him. According to Judge Steve, the driver was arguing that he didn't need to be transported. So that's good, right? He was conscious and he was going, I don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't get bit by the snake.
Right.
I didn't eat the Indian food.
So they sent.
Food's all right down there.
Yeah. So they sent him off to some remote medical center, and after X-rays and whatnot, they declared that he was bruised and sent him home. So
Life Flight seems a little bit
$84,000 bill after that.
Right, for some bruises. But abundance of caution. The car was removed from the track via a dirt road off of some corner. The car was apparently so screwed up they didn't know what was going to happen to the driver, and they did not want to bring the car out where everybody else could see it.
Yeah,
so,
did you see it later?
I never saw it.
It was in the swamp, and then never came to the paddock.
We never saw it.
It seems like everybody doesn't really have a whole lot of information. It's a lot of hearsay, which is surprising that everybody would not have any information.
Well, they did a fairly good job of trying not to freak the rest of the racers out by taking out on a dirt road off the back of the track somewhere. I suspect they went through a farmer's field to take the car off. But after that, they
threw a green flag, then off he went, right?
Threw a green flag and off we went. Yeah, Chris finished his stint off.
Now that car's probably a shooting car somewhere because this is South Carolina.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be at a range near you soon. So
now,
there you go.
And on that note, we got a nice big page of information from Dr. Florida Man, and he did mention Chris, that he wanted to thank you for bringing the floor mats down. So I guess he wanted to put that on there.
And really, that was me. So
yep,
I made that happen.
And he gave us some delightful beer, which I brought home some of for Chris.
Which he said
you did?
That was good.
Sounds like it was drank before Chrissy got any.
All I know is Friday, Chris goes, I've got to go deliver a bunch of stuff in my car, and he disappears. Right, and he's riding around, he's driving around, and he's delivering stuff. And I go, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh no, I've got to go do these things."
I had floor mats and a radiator to deliver to people. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but one of the things that Donnie wanted to point out is that you won the scooter race, but he won the peeing race. So
it was the mobility scooter race. Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, you guys raced to the bathroom, and then he raced you to unload the bladders. I
didn't know that was a race too, but apparently so.
Everything's a race.
I guess so.
Apparently.
So for the record, Terminally Confused has the fastest mobility scooter in Lemons at the moment.
They do.
Just saying.
So it's way faster than our Jazzy. Like way
Whoa.
faster.
Well, we could need some some tuning tricks.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the real racing.
Sorry.
So like, how many? So okay, so you did 2-hour shifts.
Yep.
Could you sleep in between? Did everybody stay up? What was the pit process?
So I'm pretty sure no one slept at all until we had a failure. I had an upper control arm failure, which was
okay.
Good.
Say what it was.
Right.
It's one of the car was out and it was just getting dark, and I saw we had no taillights. I said, well, all right, we got to bring them in for that. And the quick story on that one is, as we were leaving, first thing to go out in the race in the morning, the driver backed over a cone that went under the car and then tore the front bumper and corner light off. So we did an expedient repair to get that back together.
Is that a British driver, a one-eyed driver?
No, it was
none of the above.
A Pennsylvania driver?
None of the above. And so anyway, we zip tied
somewhere
it back
on Instagram is a video of, and now on Dum Dum TV, and they pick up right where you're about to tell this story, Chris.
Oh my God, mental! You have to send me that link. I don't have it.
I gotta find it.
So we zip tied and duct taped the bumper back on and said good enough, but we didn't know is that it had torn the wires out. So later on, all day they were flatting around, hitting the tire, and so once it was dark and we turned the lights on, they shorted together and took out our taillights. So anyway, while we were fixing that, we also noticed our right front tire was totally bald after 10 hours. It was a brand new tire. And so we gave the wheels a little shake as we were changing the tires, and I go to the left front wheel and clunk, 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 clunk. There's a huge amount of play in it.
3 inches of play.
Yeah. On the upper control arm, a double wishbone suspension in this car, one of the bushings in the upper control arm was gone. Not just worn, actually vanished.
Was it right front?
Left front.
Oh, left front. Driver front, yeah.
So we
Because the
had
right front takes the most abuse at CMP, right?
Left front.
Or is it the left?
It's
left
clockwise.
front would.
It's clockwise.
It's more right turn, so the left front takes all the abuse.
Got it.
So of course, this is the kind of thing. If you had the bushing in a press, well, you're done in about 20 minutes. But nobody has a press.
We didn't have any bad.
And
nor did we have a bushing.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we found a team with a stock arm. Ours was an aftermarket one. And we got the bushings pressed out finally with the help of another team with a kind of pullerish thing. And then
now for the record, the team that helped us, they blew up earlier and were drinking beer. And Chris and I are, middle of the night, we're going to get back in the car, and they're helping us. And these guys are just slamming the beers as they go. They probably shouldn't. It was a hot track. However, I was very, very, very jealous that I normally work on the car at night at Lemons with a beer in my hand, and that wasn't happening in a 24. And so Chris and I were kind of doing, oh yeah, that's a good looking beer. I'm going to keep working on my bushing. There you go.
Yeah. And then, of course, the new
bushings.
Working on a
car, I'm sober. What the hell is this, Russia?
The new bushings were solidly too long for the aftermarket control arm. So Craigers and I sat on the pavement with a block of wood and a grinder and a cup of water, and we'd grind some of one side of the bushing and then dunk it in the cup of water so it wouldn't melt the rubber. Then take the other one out of the water. Repeat.
This sounds perfectly reasonable. I don't know why this is even.
That took us about a half hour, I think, something like that.
Eventually we got
but
back
it
together.
sucks doing this at like 11 o'clock, right?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock?
10 or 10:30, yeah.
So,
and this is while the race is still going on. But
sober,
eventually we sent Craig out with a new bushing and new tires, and all was well in the world. And then I went to sleep at about 11:30.
So my one of my things on this race was how well organized everything happened. And although I'm the team captain, I'm the team owner, organization happened without me. And I was really shocked and impressed. And part of that's because Curtis and I have this great partnership. But I got in the car. They decided I was going to finish my stint. So I suited up. I strapped up at 11. I got in the car and I started driving. And I don't like a lot of radio chatter, so I was just out there driving. I was finding my markers, having some difficulty finding the turn in on number one. I may or may not have almost turned into the grass early in number one. That was fun. The blend line at CMP, which is a big deal.
It is. Yeah. It's very short.
Until it comes time to paint it, in which
case they don't. Well, guess what they put on the blend line? Reflectors. Little reflective markers on the blend line.
Good for them.
Well, you know what they also put at the apex of one? Some reflectors. So I go under the tower and I start looking for the turn in for one, and I see some reflectors. I'm like, oh, there's my turn. Holy crap, that's not my turn.
Wow, that's exciting.
Saved that. Eventually figured out where the turn in on one was. I found out where the turn in for the kink was, because that was another one. Our lights weren't quite wide enough to catch some of the turn ins.
They were pretty good. The only one I really couldn't get was 5, 6, whatever. The long ass carousel sweeper.
The carousel,
no way. Yeah. The only way I could see
the second or third turn on the carousel, yeah.
The only way I could see that was the cars in front of me using their lights to catch the reflectors.
Yes, and that is the best 24-hour strategy. You use the lights of the bastard in front of you, and he can't see, right? Because his lights are only as good as his windshield, and you're able to use them twice as far as he can, and then you go, oh, you can use it, and you can build up your speed because you know where the turn-in is, and he's finding the turn late, and then you make the pass. And it's so many passes at night with using the other car's headlights to find the apex.
That's a great segue into lights. First off, with lights, the thing when there's a car in your mirror with lights, you have no idea of their closing speed. You cannot judge it. So you have to be careful if you're the passing car to make sure you're making yourself clear presenting for a pass. It's because you know they can't see you. Other thing I found with lights, all those people with LED light bars, throw those away. Those are useless.
Seriously.
They are completely useless on the racetrack. They will light up right in front of your car very nicely, but they do nothing for down the track, which is where you need to see.
Interesting.
Other than blind people through the mirrors. I hate those LED light bars. Yeah. And they mount them on the stupid roof, which
they won't let you do it. They won't let you do it.
Lemons disallows it. You actually can't mount any lights. I think it's 12 or 16 inches above the bumper on a Lemons car.
Yeah.
Good, because it was infuriating for the 24 that I did.
So what you need is one set of lights that gives you a fairly broad, mild beam, like stock headlights-ish, and so you can see around you. And then you need two kind of spotlights pointing out at angles so you can see around corners, and then one spotlight pointing straight as far as it can go so you can get some distance. I think that would be ideal.
Interesting.
And we were missing the center light straight out to get some distance. That's what my car was missing. Yeah.
So that would have been great, but throw the LED light bars in the trash. They are completely useless except for blinding your fellow competitors. So that's that.
Yep.
Interesting.
The LED decorative light game, though, some teams brought some strong game.
I was going to mention that.
And I think it's a great way to go. Not only is it just kind of fun, but it's a great way you could see where your car is on track, which is nice.
I was very upset I did not take the time to light up the Scottish saltier that I have on the side of the car with a cross. I should have just spent the time, done the lights, and lit that up. As it was, we had to kind of go, oh wait, is that that's our car on the front straight. Whereas if the cross was lit, I could have seen it anywhere on track.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You definitely have to decorate your car for the night.
Well, and I've seen a lot of people go with a nautical, not so much theme, but they'll do the, and I'm going to embarrass myself, green on the left, red on the right, or, so that you know the orientation of the car.
Yeah, we had that when we had a boat, and then we had the masthead light too, because
oh yes,
when you're at anchor,
that was helpful.
But that broke.
It's a shame you never ran the boat at night.
Yeah, they don't have night races in the Northeast because none of the tracks will let it happen. But when you're in the middle of a swamp full of venomous snakes like CMP,
no one cares.
No one around them has enough money for a lawyer to fight it. So that's what it comes down to.
Well, plus Jesus doesn't care at night.
Yeah.
Yep.
11 o'clock.
It looked like the track had put in some of the temporary gas-powered generator lights.
Only in the hot pits.
Right, they did on pit lane in the hot pit.
But it wasn't on the track anywhere.
No. In fact,
it was enough to light up. It was enough to light up a fair amount of the track, though, to give you just a little bit of extra visibility. You'd be surprised.
Well, especially
at how
the
much
kink
of it
could probably get.
Well,
some of that.
believe it or not, those lights were lighting up. It was the wrong side of the kink. But I started using the reflection of the sand on the wrong side of the kink as my indication for where the turn-in was on the curbing, because I couldn't see the curbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yep. Cool.
Now that said, the lights they were using, so the corner stations were using these flashing yellow lights. They were trying to do like F1 style flashing yellow lights.
Oh yeah.
Well, when I did the CMP 24 at Eagles Canyon, and when I did the Chump Car at VIR, they would try to like hold a flashlight on the yellow flag.
Oh,
right, and that was so useless. You couldn't see a thing. The flashing yellow lights you could actually see from a distance, but only at some corner stations. I think some of the corner stations they had them like set on a shelf that was below the line of half of the track. So
by the time I got out there at 5 a.m., they'd figured it out, and I could see them everywhere because I had some full course yellow. When they were doing worker shift change, they would basically just drive the ambulance around under full course yellow and switch out the workers. So I got to see where all the yellow flags were as I puttered around.
Oh, good. That's helpful.
Yeah.
And they were fine.
Now, to the point of when you were out at 5 a.m., the plan completely changed on the team when I went out at 11 because we had a whole plan, and I went out at 11, and the plan just had to change because we had lost some time with a broken car and whatnot, and our timing wasn't useful at all. And I was out, and near the end of my stint, someone came on the radio and started listing off drivers and times and when they were gonna like come on and come off, and I was like, dude,
I can't hear you.
You need to shut up. I can't deal with whatever you're talking about.
I lost track of what the hell you were saying.
Just tell me when
to come in.
Right.
Tell me when I'm there.
I said the same thing. Well, and so the guy on the radio says, well, come in at 1. And I went out at 11, but I'd already used 20 minutes of fuel. I can't come in at 1.
Well, you can't get 2 hours out of your own tank?
Well, it's 2.5.
2.5 plus. Yeah. Okay. Not the way I drive, and they should have told me earlier, right?
Yeah. So
I told them, well, no, you need to go put someone in a suit for 12:30 because that's when I'm coming in. And I got in at 12:30, and Andy, who is a kind of a terminally confused person, he shows up, and he doesn't race with us, but he shows up and kind of drinks the beer and smokes the cigars and has fun with us. He's on the radios, and everybody else is gone. I get out of the car, and everybody's gone. Chris is gone. Curtis is gone. Richard's gone. Trevor's gone.
We're eating ice cream. Stay out there.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Chips.
We were sleeping. We were all asleep.
You were. I got out of the car. Trevor got in the car, and Andy's like standing by our 4-wheeler, and Andy goes, "Yeah, I'm doing night comms." I said, "Oh, this is great. I wish we had thought of it." Right.
But that goes to a great point of some things we did differently for the 24 that I think were really great. Is that we had 2 non-drivers on the team. We had Andy running comms and just doing whatever we needed, and we had Chris Medico, who was our chef for the weekend. His job was to cook delicious food all weekend, and he never stopped cooking, and it was so great. There's always this fresh, wonderful food. Oh, so good.
He cooked quesadillas. He cooked pizzas. Those are the only 2 meals I remember. I was asleep for most of the rest of them.
I had a breakfast burrito in the morning.
Yeah, breakfast burritos. I heard about those, you bastards. Yeah. I didn't get one of those because someone woke me up at 6 and said, "You're driving at 7. Get in the car." But okay. That was great. And I'll be honest, the other 24s I've done were not nearly that well organized and prepped, and that's all Curtis's fault.
Yeah.
Curtis brought in Chris Medico, Curtis brought in Andy, and they both stepped up and took care of it while the driver slept. And now, mind you, I wasn't awake I was driving at the time. My understanding is people, they went, "You need to go to sleep, and you need to go to sleep, and you need to go to sleep." They started telling drivers to go to sleep.
Yep, and it's good. I got 4 hours of sleep, which was great, I guess.
More than I expected.
Yeah.
So Chris, you started the race. You told me I can't drive between 2 and 5.
Yeah.
You said you can't drive between 2
and 5?
I can't.
Yeah, because
Chris told me that.
Oh, Chris, that's usually my line. Usually Chris is like, "I drive anytime."
But I get stupid after 2. I just do. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, he and I worked and mind you, I had to work it out I had 5 drivers, and I had to kind of work out the schedule, and I was like, okay, Chris can't drive between 2 and 5. All right, let's figure this out. And Kurt can't drive at night. Let's figure this out. I had my constraints. Trevor and Richard were kind of like, I don't give a shit, but I didn't want. I just lost your E rating. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's all right.
And so Richard was fairly new and green. I didn't want to put him in for the sunrise or sundown stints. It turned out he took the entire sundown stint due to our timing. But I tried to work all that out and tried to organize it, and none of that worked out the way I planned. But that's okay.
We tried.
Well, that actually is a great thing because, like, I'll do 2 to 6.
Yeah.
Sunrise or sunset sounds like hell to me. I'll be honest with you. I want it dark or light.
So I was going through the show notes, and you guys had a favorite part of the race. And my favorite part of the race was when I got in the car right before the sun went completely down. I got in the car, I think at 7:30. We had a 30-minute shift because of the red flag. And I got in the car at 7:30, and the sun wasn't completely down. And I did a couple laps, and I'm coming around the kink, and the sun had finally gone behind the trees so I could see through the windshield of the kink. Before that, I couldn't see anything. The kink was absolutely a golden whitewash. I couldn't see a thing. Once it went behind the trees, what I had was this beautiful scene as I came down turn 8 and I was, came around 8, came around 9, and I'm looking, and of course kink is 10, and I'm looking up and I'm going, oh my God, you can see these rays of sun coming over the trees and it's backlit through the pine trees, and it was the most beautiful scene on track I've ever seen. And I'm used to the track.
I'm so struck by beauty. Oh crap, I got to turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of.
Oh my God, where's my turning point, right?
Yeah.
And that was probably my favorite part of the weekend, was taking the moment the sun went behind the trees lap on the kink.
And I enjoyed the sunrise shift. Like, I'm out in the dark, I'm going well, things are good, and all of a sudden I can see a little more, and a little more, and then a little more, and then all of a sudden it's day, and there we go. Mental.
And you talked about you had the guy that starts going around and telling people to go to sleep. And that's always the thing that people always miss is if you're going to have people up all night, you have to go to, and not just your drivers, but your pit crew. Oh, well, I'm not driving until 5. Doesn't matter. I need somebody on the radio. And I remember the race I did at Autobahn. I'm about halfway through my stint. I was doing the overnight stint. I'd gotten in the car about 1 in the morning, 1:30, and we actually could run that car for almost 3 hours on a tank. And about an hour and 15 minutes, the guy on the radio goes, "Well, hey man, I'm going to sleep, so just I'm really tired." Good, seriously, good job. And for 2 hours, everybody was just asleep. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could just pull into the pits and grab somebody nearby and have them with a fire bottle. And, I don't know if anyone's – and then about 20 minutes before I was due to come in, somebody gets on the radio and goes, okay, well, we're up and having breakfast now, and we're starting to wake up, so we'll be ready for you in about 20 minutes. I'm like, you guys are pricks.
So the story I have from the Eagles Canyon race is I took the sunrise – I flew to Eagles Canyon – near Dallas, Texas, and I was racing with Tetanus with Chris and Mary, and I love Chris and Mary. But their idea of organization was 12 drivers, 3 cars. They wrote the drivers' names in order on the whiteboard, and whatever car came in next, you got into.
In their defense, they never expect any of their cars to run that long, and usually it gets really easy to manage after two of their cars blow up.
Fair enough. In the Neon, as I recall, one Class B there. But we came in, and I was in the Neon, and I had the sunrise stint in the Neon. I got in the car. Cool Suit was hot. I turned on the switch, and I got hotter. Right?
Oh, yeah. We've all been there. Oh.
Turn that damn thing. Actually, no, I got in. I didn't know where the switch was. I actually had to radio and ask someone where the switch was. Mary was in the 944 and had to radio me and tell me where the switch in the Neon was to turn off the Cool Suit cooler. Right. And that, right. Yeah, and that theme extended for the whole stint I was in. I was in for about 2 hours. I got near the end, and I was, that moment when you're in the car and you go, oh, I shouldn't be in the car anymore.
Yeah.
Right. You've lost focus. You've missed a couple of apex points, and you're starting to run wide on stuff. You're going, oh, I'm a danger to myself and others. I had that moment at Eagles Canyon on a 24, and I started radioing in, going, okay, I got to get out of the car. Where do you want me to go? Hot pit or paddock? No one discussed it with me. There was no team rule. There was no, hey, here's where you need to go. And no one answered me on the radio. And so in Eagles Canyon, there's some elevation change, not like some tracks I've been to, but
She used to rent lights out there, but that's a dark track because you're out in the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Well, but I had done the sunrise stand, so it was light out, right?
Okay.
And so I'd come down the front straight and I'd radio. Yeah, hey, I need to come in. Next lap, I'd radio again. Hey, I need to come in. Next lap, hey, I need to come in. And then, like the fourth lap, I said, hey, I'm going to wreck your car unless I come in. Where do you want me to go? And no one answered. And finally, Mary in the 944 says, for the love of God, just go to the paddock. So I said, yes, ma'am. Next lap around, and the Eagles Canyon pit out was hard to find, by the way. It's like
if you don't know it's there, it's because it's in the middle of a corner.
Yes, it's in the middle of a corner. I found it, and I went to the paddock. No one's at the paddock. No one's on the radio. No one's nothing. I crawled out of the car. I was in pretty bad heat exhaustion. I was overtired. I only had about 1 hour of sleep that night because the schedule was terrible and no one told me to go to sleep. I crawled out of the car and I laid down on the concrete in the garage. It was in the shade. I stripped off my driver's suit. I was in a pair of compression shorts. You guys have seen me. That's not a pretty sight.
No. Not interested.
Laying down on cold concrete at Eagles Canyon, and I laid there, and I swear I was there for 15 minutes before someone wandered by to figure out why the neon wasn't turning laps anymore.
Did you say something prophetic like, I'm blinded?
No, actually, I believe I was actually so dehydrated and tired that I couldn't even speak coherently. They gave me water and they propped me up. But yeah, and I've been in that situation at a 24, and when organizing my own, this was my first race being the team owner and the team captain. I was like, okay, we're not doing that.
I know it's early. When was that? Was it 13, 14 maybe?
It was earlier than that. I want to say it was 2012, 2013, something like that. Yeah.
Because I remember one of my teams I run with was there. I was out of the country at the time, and that was.
Hold on, the trombone fell over everybody.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. That was still kind of. I mean, it was early when the series was trying to do this, and people were just learning how to do this. I mean, radios. Yes. At Eagles Canyon, you couldn't even get radio coverage because we were all using those cheap little walkie-talkie things and just holding them up to the helmet when we were driving by pit road or something.
Yeah, it was tough.
I need to come in. Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
That's your tube of mockery?
Pretty much.
Well, that's what Mary sounded like. So, and I took lessons from that race, and I also did a 24 with Duff at a chump car race. I took lessons from those, and I went, I don't want 4 drivers. 4 drivers is too few. Yeah. You don't get enough rest. 5 is kind of, by the way, Curtis really wanted 6. He wanted 2 stints per driver, and that works out well. 5 was 2 stints for 3 drivers and 3 stints for 2 drivers. And I decided, well, let me do 5. I like 5, and we worked that out, and I worked out the schedule for that. And luckily, I had people stepping up to organize stuff and tell people to go to sleep. If I had someone tell me to go to sleep at Eagles Canyon, I would have been a lot less dangerous. And so, yeah, we were making sure drivers were safe, and we finished far better than we had any right to, given that we were off track for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And in fact, I ran some math, and Chris was on the email I ran the math on. If we had not broken, we would have been in contention for the overall, and I'm a Class B car.
Well, our fast lap times were right there with not the fastest laps of the race, but the cars that were at the pointy-ish end, we could just about get there at our fast laps. Close.
Did you look at the top 10? So the top 10, half of the top 10 had fast laps less than 2 minutes, or
more than 2 minutes.
slower than 2 minutes.
Right, and ours was a 2:02.
Yeah,
but
we were
we did that. But we did it a lot. We had a lot of 2:02s in there. So
we did.
Jeff.
Oh, Jeff's trying to talk, and he's really quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, is that better?
Not really.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Not really. Whatever you did, I don't know. You screwed something up. But anyway, so let's we gotta start wrapping this one up. We're going really long here. I think the question everyone usually asks is, would you do it again? And I think my answer is yes, someday. But I'm really glad we don't do this every time. I guess is the way I'll say it.
Oh, can I be heard now? Is that
Yeah.
better?
Yes,
a little bit, yes.
So I am so jealous. I want to go like now, tomorrow, the next 24. I want to fly out and do. So
there's so much of it you miss. You miss all the time. Like half the reason you go to Lemons is to enjoy time with your friends that you see a couple times a year. You miss all of that. Like I never left our paddock practically. You miss the time to fix the car and actually give it a good shot. Like if you break, you're kind of done unless you've got something simple you can fix, like making control arm bushings.
That wasn't even simple.
Right. So there's enough that goes into it that I would rather we don't do the true 24s. You know, I'll do another one someday, and probably not in my car, which I think is the way to do it.
So, thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
because it's a whole different dynamic of wear and tear.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff. Next time they do a 24, I can drag my car to. I'll bring you in.
Sign me up. Yeah, but again, it's not about wanting to do anything specific, or it's just that it's a goal yet unaccomplished. I think it's on my bucket list. I want to do it. I want the pain.
I think anybody that calls himself an endurance racer needs to do one. Just to say, I did the whole 24. My team ran for a whole day, the whole way through.
It sounds terrible.
Hate it, love it. You know, it doesn't matter. You need to do it and say you did.
I'm cranky when I don't get sleep.
Well,
you
would be bad.
Well, you know, we got more sleep than I'd hoped.
So Chrissy drives early, and we all immediately go to bed. So we know that rule that happens right away.
That's dumb.
Chrissy drives. Mental, Jeff, Chris, go to sleep.
Yeah,
I'm not going.
Well,
That's the problem.
You all know that I get about 4 hours of sleep at a regular.
Well, yeah, we know.
A good lemons race.
Yeah,
because we hear you snoring those 4 hours.
You're snoring, man. And then
what a better reason?
And then Chris and I are looking at each other. We're gonna say, "Is he dead? Is he dying?" Okay, poke.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Nobody asked the most important question: who had the best home slice? It's you, Black Flag theme.
Oh, sadly, I mean, not sadly, but Speedy Cop actually brought it.
Well, he just had it on his Light Bright.
He was doing a Light Bright theme, and he was able to integrate it in. No one else had a good one other than that.
Charles.
Whoa, Florida man.
He didn't say home slice on it. He just said VinWiki storyteller. I'll pass under yellow.
He's a VinWiki storyteller.
Right.
It was so obscure. I mean, I didn't even realize it till the race was done. No, you got to be in your face.
If you don't say home slice, you didn't do it right.
Well, Charles from Duff had a shirt made that said "It's you, home slice" on it. You know, get off the track.
That's awesome.
I never saw it. Oh my god, I wish I saw it.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay.
So, the short story is. They're okay. Don't do it every time. Get some sleep. Bring some crew. Thanks. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, I do like you say, do it in somebody else's car, because I've always done it in somebody else's car. And
yeah, that's better. All right, Mental. You've got something for us?
Yes. Real quick, though, I do want to mention we did have all of the results, and we're not going to do that, but the Dodgy Racing from Dodge, Alabama, and their Dodge Daytona, they finished 46th overall, and D is the fourth letter of the alphabet, and G is the sixth letter of the alphabet.
Oh, my God.
Just throwing some stuff at you there, buddy. All right.
That car was terrible. Yeah, as expected.
Yes, for a funny team. So, all right. So in our variation of just the tip, we have don't be like Mental. Don't do what Mental does. We've done this one before. I forget what we called it. We've all got. A lot of us have scooters, not jazzy scooters, but actual scooters. Chris and Chrissy have Scooty, and you see a bunch of folks, especially as the series has matured and you're really more advanced racers reading lazy racers. We've all started bringing scooters around. And I've got my wife's 50cc Vento. And most states, Colorado, Georgia, Nevada, anything below 50 cc's, you don't have to have a plate, you don't have to have insurance, you don't even really require registration. Georgia does require you wear a helmet. And all the times I'll run errands on my wife's Vino. And Chrissy, weren't you running down to the library today on Scooty?
I was on Scooty this evening.
Yes, I was. Yeah, be scooting in. So it makes sense. They're easy to park. They're good on the gas, and they're a lot of fun. And sometimes it may be a little bit too much fun. So Monday I'm running an errand, hopped on the Vino, rounding a quarter about a mile and a half away from my house. I find the maximum lean angle of my scooter. I catch asphalt, and I dumped it hard. And I do mean hard. And if you guys want to click on that Instagram link,
low siding now.
It's scabbed over now, but
I saw that.
Oh, I did see it.
Road rash.
I saw your hand.
And yeah, this is and I had all the bandages on my. I've got a pretty one on my knee, and the link to my Instagram, or if you just go to M3 Intel Ward, you'll see all my road rash. There is a not safe for work warning on that one. I was probably only doing 25, 30 miles an hour. I had on a pair of jeans and a helmet. I could have, if I'd had my gloves, which normally I do wear, the injuries in my hand would have been prevented. And if I'd been in shorts, my legs would look like my arm right now. I still have a nice scab on my knee and one on my shoulder because it went through both of those. And if I'd not been wearing a helmet, my face would look like that. And I don't need any help getting any uglier. You know, I mean, the hair can only do so much. So
here's another thing. Don't knee drag on your scooter, okay?
Right?
Yeah, really. What are you doing?
The exhaust cover. I mean, it was a great late apex, downhill, increasing radius turn. I had the perfect entry angle, and she just and what was really bad is there was a car up the hill, and I caught it, and the scooter goes sliding about 20 feet, and this woman freaked out because I dumped it hard, and I get up, and I'm bleeding. And she's like,
yeah.
Oh my God, do you need me to call somebody? I go, no, but thank you so much for stopping. You know, a lot. She's like, I'm so worried. I'm like, I feel really terrible that you had to see this. I'm gonna scream as I put Neosporin on this, and my wife's gonna bust me, but I am so fine. I want you to have a good day. Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure? I felt really bad that I ruined this poor woman's day. So the point is, all the gear all the time, folks. And I could still. I mean, I was completely conscious. My head hit that asphalt hard. I mean, it was a thunking noise, and and my head bounced off that pavement with the helmet. So, just get a set of cheese ball, even the mechanics gloves, just something with some abrasion resistance, and for God's sakes, have a helmet.
Oh gosh, I just got off Scooty just right now, and of course I was running late, and I was like, I was going 40 on maybe not, yeah, I was going 40. So on a couple of roads, and
Slow the hell down, Dan.
I'm going 38. So I'm no, this is terrifying.
It's not terrifying. Just put on long pants. Don't do it in flip flops.
Well, see, it's one of the reasons I got rid of the motorcycle is because it was so annoying putting all this armor on anytime I wanted to go anywhere. And then once I'm there, what do I do with it all? And I can't bring anything with me. And I'm wearing like these thick pants and boots, and I got all this stuff. And so that's why I stole the motorcycle, and I have an NSX now.
Hallelujah, Chris. Hallelujah.
Yeah. I actually have a pair of overpants. They're the abrasion resistance, but they're basically summer pants that you would throw on over your shorts.
See, the thing is, you're dedicated.
And I just leave them sitting on the bike.
But you love your motorcycle, right? So we're like, okay, it's fine. And then. I also forgot to mention the time that I low-sided Scooty. I was you all were there.
Yeah.
So mental. Do you want my story?
I do.
Craig's got a story.
So I used to commute on my '92 VFR. You'll be familiar with the VFR, of course.
Motorcycle, yes.
So I had side bags and a top case, and I would carry my ventilated leather pants with the armor and the gloves and the helmet and my jacket and the whole mess, right?
That's
and
my
it was
name on some forums on the dark web, by the way. Ventilated leather pants.
Yes. And let me tell you, your ass has never looked better than in ventilated leather pants. So I'm leaving work one day. It is Charleston, South Carolina in July. It is 95 degrees out. It's 100 degrees humidity or 100% humidity. I want nothing to do with my gear. I put on my helmet. I put on the jacket because it's a ventilated jacket, and my gloves. And I said, okay. And I actually got on the bike and I put it in gear, and I went, you know what? This is stupid. I've got my boots and I've got my pants in the top case. I'll stop. I'll put them on. I stopped. I put them on. So I've now got armored pants on and armor and leather pants and the whole mess. And I go and merge on the interstate. 3 minutes later, a tractor trailer does something stupid while I'm merging on the interstate. I have to grab a fistful of the front brakes at 70 miles an hour, and I immediately dump the bike. And I slide across the interstate at 70 miles an hour. I pirouette on my helmet. I grind it through the carbon fiber shell and the foam and everything. My knee pads are gone. My pants are actually abraded completely through. Thick leather pants, leather jacket, the whole mess. And I come to a stop, and not a scratch on me, not an injury, not a thing. And I went. Well, but the question I had to myself was, what could I have done to prevent it? And there was nothing. I did everything right, and I still slid down the interstate. And I sold my bike to Curtis less than 6 months later.
I'm amazed the bike was alive.
It was. I kind of regret selling the bike to Curtis because he eventually lost an eye to a motorcycle wreck. But all the gear all the time. Wear every damn bit of gear you have. Don't even think about it. So mental. Next time, wear a jacket. Wear some gloves.
But on Scooty though,
it doesn't matter. 20 miles an hour will scratch you.
Well, no.
Right.
I'm willing to take this kind of abrasion on my arm. Like Chrissy said. Chrissy said, "Yeah, I'm a dedicated kind of a two-wheel guy, and you I don't care what you drive, you're taking chances on it."
Yes.
And got me a free shot at a local biker bar too. That was kind of cool. But,
There you go.
because now you're badass.
Yeah, but was it because of the abrasion or the ventilated leather pants?
They just dug his 49cc
Think
hog.
about LA.
Ventilated leather pants make you popular.
That's right.
Well, of course they're assless. They wouldn't be chaps if they were assless. They would just they'd just be pants.
Okay, we gotta go. It's late.
Yes.
It's bedtime.
I'm getting the theme music up here. Thank you for downloading us and not downloading the picture of all of us in the ventilated leather pants. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's totally free. Then go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate us, give us 5 stars and tell us why. If you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers at everyone.racers at
What's it again?
gmail.com.
What is
Sorry. Find us on Instagram or Twitter, or Craigers, do you want to drop your Instagram name on here? Any
Terminally confused racing. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you, Craig, for joining us, and thank you for giving Chris a place to do a 24, so now he won't do it with me. But thanks. And until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep the ventilated pants down.